What is up, guys? It is the Citrus Panda here today, and I'm coming at you with a little bit of a different video. Last video I made was my 500 subscriber special, and I'm just doing this video for some fun. It's going to be another episode of What Am I Playing? I do these videos every once in a while, just kind of pick a random game, play it, tell you a little bit about it, and maybe even convince you to play it. So I'm playing Mount & Blade Warband right now, and I'm going to explain it before I get into the game. Basically, I've played this game for about 55 hours. I've been playing it for quite a while. It's quite an amazing game. I like it quite a bit. Now, there was the original Mount & Blade, which had a trial with it, and you could play the trial until you're about level 7, which actually is quite a bit of time. And I would play the trial until level 7, and then make a new character and start it all over again. And it was amazing. I loved that game so much because it was awesome. And then eventually one day, that was a long time ago because the original Mount & Blade is quite an old game. This was back, I don't know, I think it was, before 2010, I believe. Don't quote me on that one, but I think it was before 2010. So eventually I bought Mount & Blade, the original one, and then later, I forget if it was the same year that I bought Mount & Blade, Warband came out. And basically what this game is this is Mount. If you are thinking about buying Mount & Blade, buy Mount & Blade Warband. Don't buy Mount & Blade. Mount & Blade Warband has better graphics, it has better battles, more weapons. It's just better. It fixed a lot of the problems with that Mount & Blade had, and a lot of them are fixed in Warband, so it's great. Okay, so let's do this. So basically, you start out your character, you can be male or female, let's be male. And then you answer some questions, just kind of basing, and this is basically what your character is going to have when they start. For instance, I believe if you pick something like a hunter, you start with a crossbow, things like that. I don't really know all of them, although I've played through this game so many times. I mean, it's not really a game you can beat. It's like a sandbox kind of RPG sort of thing, so yeah. I'm going to go with my father was a veteran warrior. You can read this, but I'm not going to read it because I've read it so many times. And then you spent your early life as, what am I going to spend my early life as? I think I spent my early life as a page, and then I became a squire, because that probably is decently good. Now, I don't know if this really does, affect you at all, but I think it's just a personal kind of thing. I usually do Wanderlust, or being forced out of your home. Sometimes loss of a level, but I usually do being forced out of your home. Become an adventurer and ride to your destiny. Now, the cool thing about this game is that it actually lets you do this setting right here called realistic, no quitting without saving. I think that's pretty awesome, in my opinion, because that's just freaking awesome. A game that doesn't let you quit without saving. I don't know. Sometimes, like, in a game, like, it's really weird how they do a saving system, and it's really confusing. But in this game, it's not. So, right off the bat, I'm going to get 2 points. I'm going to get 3 points into charisma. But apparently, I have to put 4 in just to level up leadership a little bit. So, I'm going to reset the changes, actually. So, basically, this is an RPG. It's single player. You can also play it online, but you can't play it like this online. You just kind of, like, join a battle, and you can fight. Now, there's all these different skills that do something different. For instance, leadership makes you able to actually command 5 more troops per stat you get in this. So you can command quite a bit of troops in the game, because you play as one person, but you also can have a lot of people helping you out. Then there's a bunch of other ones, like prisoner management. I'm going to get that up 1 so I can take prisoners for more. I'm actually going to get that maybe level 2. Not right now, though. I'm going to grab some other stuff. So, looting is not bad. Horse archery isn't that bad. I usually take a bow, but this playthrough I might do like a melee only sort of thing. So I'm gonna go with iron flesh and power throw. No, we're just gonna go with some iron flesh, I think. Power strike is already up there. We'll level up strength 2 times, get some more iron flesh, get some power strike, and we'll level up charisma 2 times. Why not? Also, we'll level up some one-handed weaponry. I usually use one-handed weaponry and maybe like a pole arm or something. I usually use a sword and a shield and then a bow and arrow. But in this playthrough, I might use, I don't know, some sort of melee weapon. Let's name my character Citrus. Why not? And you can press done. You can do quite a bit of character customization in this game. I mean, the graphics aren't the best, as you can see. But since it's a wide-scale game, and it's not this is not really what you're going to be looking at the whole time. It's third person. You can also play in first person. Wouldn't recommend it, but you can. And, I mean, pretty much, you can do crazy things with this. It's like one of those games like where you can make your guy look completely unique or weird just by, messing with the sliders. I don't do that, though. I usually just put my age follow down as it can go. I want to be young. You can also make a guy old if you so desire. I usually go with this face set. I don't know, it just makes, I like it. Also, as you can see, if you make a guy older, he starts getting gray hair. I always make my guy younger, and I guess I'll make him have brown hair. Usually I go with this race, though. I don't know if they're really races, they're just kind of face presets. So, pick a beard. I mean, it is medieval times, but you know what? I don't really want to go with that. I'm gonna roll with this hairstyle I always go with. It's long. It makes you kind of look like you are from that time, in my opinion, because back then you really didn't get haircuts unless you like completely shaved your head. But you know, I guess you didn't really shave it, but you know, cut it off or however they did it back in the day. Now, what's cool about this one is, unlike, for instance, the first Mountain Blade, you get to pick a place to start out, so you don't just start out in the middle of nowhere. They also added a new kingdom, which is the Serenid Sultanate, I believe it's called. I don't even know, but that's besides the point. So there's basically a couple kingdoms. Swadia, which they can have some pretty powerful knights. Like if you have a band of you and 40 Swadian knights, it's ridiculous. Vaegirs are along the same lines, although if you run head-to-head with different knights, I think Swadian knights are better than Vaegir knights. Vaegirs have very good archers, from what I know. The Kargat Khanate is kind of like what the Mongolians would have been, and they are pretty awesome. They use a lot of horse combat. Pretty much every single one of the Kargat Khanate have horses, which is pretty good in this game. Although you don't want all cavalry, I found that having all cavalry doesn't really do anything, you know, bad for you. I mean, it seems like it would be a disadvantage, but horses in this game are quite good, and honestly, you can have like all cavalry and still do really good. Kingdom of the Nords, they have really good foot soldiers, like berserkers, they're kind of like Vikings, if I would compare them to anything. The Rodoks have really good spearmen, if that is what you want to go for. And the Serenid Sultanate, Sultanate, I'm not really sure. I've never actually sided with them, and I've never really fought them, because the only ones I played a lot with Swadians. I played quite a bit with the Kargat, and I just recently started to play through with the Vaegirs. Now picking this does not necessarily mean that you have to start with them, but I'm gonna go with the Kargat Khanate. Picking the city you start out with, that has nothing to do with your affiliation with them. You can, for instance, start out in Swadia, but then pick to be a Vaegir, so it has nothing to do with that. Now, as you can see, it's a third-person action sort of game. This guy's trying to shoot me with a bow and arrow. I'm gonna fight. Now, the combat system in this game is pretty awesome. I'm gonna show you. So basically, you can fight without a shield and parry. So how do you do this? Basically, right before they're about to attack, all you gotta do is press the right mouse button, and it will automatically adjust to where the person is going to attack. It's a very nice combat system, and it works very well. Now, you can also use shield. Shields are pretty awesome as well, because you don't actually have to time it at all. You just kind of block. However, with shields, there is an added hazard of it breaking, and then when your shield breaks, that can be quite bad for you. Now, the combat in this game is quite awesome. I'm personally a fan of the horse combat. I love being on a horse. Pretty much every single person starts with a horse. I'm pretty sure everybody does. When you start out the game, you start with a horse. So, this is like the beginning of the game. It's kind of like an introduction. You get a little bit of a tutorial almost. He wants you to go, do things with bandits and whatnot. I'm not going to do that, though. I'm not going to do it right now. Now, sometimes in this game, I don't know why, but recently when I booted it up, it's got like these weird problems, like being able to see through land and stuff. It's pretty easy to fix. I think I went into like a battle and it ended. So the map there you saw is pretty bare bones. It doesn't have a lot. I'll explain it in a minute when I get back there. But this is how battles work. You find a battle on the map, and then it kind of like transports you into a battlefield, depending on where you are. So if you're in the biome, I'm saying it's a biome. I guess it's kind of like a biome. I believe the Vaegirs are kind of like in the snowy area. So if you want to be in the snowy, if you go into a battle in the snowy area, it's going to be snowy in the battlefield, which doesn't really affect your battle style that much. That's just how it is. As you can see, I'm like riding past these guys, slicing them down with a sword. It's quite fun. Being on a horse gives you a huge advantage over other people, honestly. I think that's why they give you a horse starting out, because, I mean, looters, these are just looters, so basically they're just the easiest people in the game to kill. Most of them don't have armor, as you can see. I mean, some of them don't have anything at all, just no shirts. Very easy to murder with a sword. I almost called it a sword. Also, when you're about to win, they'll usually run away. It's a good time to just try to shoot them. Oh yeah, I shot him right in the back with a crossbow. So, there are crossbows. I'm not a huge fan of crossbows. I'm a more fan of the bow and arrow if I'm going to use any long-range kind of weapon. So when you win, if you knock them unconscious, you can take them as prisoner. Now, if you happen to not knock them unconscious and actually kill them, then that's not an option for you. You will not get anything. So this seems like it's actually pretty good compared to what I have right now. It gives 4 leg armor and 21 body armor, but this gives 27 body armor. Looks kind of cool too. I'm going to take all these weapons just because, for the sake of having them, and also you can sell them. Now, as you can see, it's not really expensive stuff to go and sell, but I'm going to do it anyway. As you can see, after going into that battle, the terrain is fixed. So, yeah, I don't really know what that, it's a little bit of a glitch or something. So, if we look up and we kind of scroll out at this map, it's kind of cool. This is the Selenite, or whatever they're called. I can't even pronounce them. The Serenade. This is where the Serenide's at. They're in the desert, as you might imagine. They're kind of like a, I can't think of, Saladin? Kind of like what Saladin was. I can't really think of the, you know, this, I don't really know what civilization that is. I play a lot of Age of Empires 2, but for some, the Saracens, I think you would call them, refer to them as. Not really sure what you would refer to the other ones as. I mean, some of them are pretty obvious, like the Karagit Clanate. The leader of them is called Sanjar Khan, which pretty much just points out, obviously, what the references there. Swati is probably some European, kind of like a European kind of thing. Same thing with this. Like I said, the Nords, which is the blue, they're more of a raider kind of Viking sort of thing. Now, the graphics on the map aren't that good, obviously. I mean, it's just kind of like what you move around on. I'm going to click just so I can see where I'm at. I forget where I'm at. Okay, I'm right here. So, on the map, you're going to see a bunch of things. The big towns, the things with the big names that don't have castle after them are the towns. Not these ones, these are villages. So the biggest names are going to be the towns. The towns have markets and taverns and a bunch of other things. So this is where you're going to go to buy things and participate in tournaments and whatnot. In addition, there are also villages attached to the towns. And also, there are connected to the towns usually are castles as well, although those are separate. So if you siege a town, you're not going to gain access to the castle, whereas if you sieged this town and captured it, you would in fact get this village as well. Or you could ransack the village and do whatever. Now, Distar Castle, for instance, is a castle. And there's castles, there's villages, and there's towns. Those are pretty much the things, the main things. There's also bandit hideouts and other little things like training fields and whatnot. But those aren't very important. You're not going to be using those as much. The main things you need to know in this game are the fact that you're going to be needing to kind of figure out that these are towns, these are villages, and those are castles. Castles are easy because they always have castle after them. Villages are easy because they're not as big as towns, and towns are easy because they've got big names. So you can kind of scroll out and see where you want to go here. Once you figure out what side you want to side with, then that's good. But until then, you kind of just wander around, do quests. There's a huge questing system in this game. It's kind of weird how it happens, but it is an RPG. It feels like like you're actually playing because, you know, if you, for instance, say that I talk to Sanjar Khan right now. I'm going to go do it just so I can show you. I'm going to go to Tolga. I'm going to, I can join the tournament, which would be pretty cool, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to, I guess go to the castle, join the feast, why not? I'm not invited? Wait, here we go. I'm not sufficient status. Okay, that makes sense, actually, because I'm not really up there. So, actually, I'm not going to do that. But let's say that I wanted to not do that. I don't know. I'll visit the tavern, why not? Okay, for instance, let's say that this is the king, which he is not. Let's say that he's the king. Now, if this guy happens to be the king, and I take a quest from him, and he ends up leaving for whatever reason, maybe he's on a military campaign, maybe he has to go defend something, or for whatever reason he leaves, if I come back here, he's not going to be here, so I have to find him. So for instance, maybe I'll find a lord from that realm, someone who supports the king, someone who is on the king's side, and you can become a lord yourself after a certain amount of time. You can actually get a certain amount of reputation, and then you can actually ask to pledge your allegiance to a king. Or you can also make your own kingdom, which I don't know if it's the best idea to start out with. If you want to create your own kingdom, it's definitely a possibility, but you're risking a couple things. Now, it's kind of cool making your own kingdom, but it's also kind of crazy because you've got to manage everything, whereas if you just join one, then you don't have to manage a lot of things. You really can't attack anybody in here. Even if I shot people in the face, it doesn't do anything. However, your actions do kind of, make a difference in this world. If, for instance, you sack a village that is from the Kargat Clanate, they're gonna come after you. They're not going to forgive you easily. They will forgive you, but they're not gonna forgive you easily, and they will murder you horribly, especially early on in the game where they have these huge, expansive armies of, 200 to 300 people, and at the beginning of the game, you only have yourself. You're gonna get murdered, just completely destroyed. Also, when you die in this game, you lose things. Like, for instance, you might lose your horse, or you might lose your weapons, or your food, or something. And if I go to my goods merchant in this town, if I go to the, not my, you can sell anything to any merchant. What I do is I just sell mine to the one that had the most money. If you sell your stuff, as you can see, I receive 175. They have a 910 there, so they have enough to pay me. If I want to get any people in my party, I'm going to need some food. So I'm going to buy this piece of bread so that if I do get people in the party, they can eat that. So they're not bad. And if you don't have food, then their morale goes down. And eventually people will start leaving if they have really low morale. So, actually, this is a tournament. Now, the tournaments are kind of crazy in this game. Not too bad, but, oh wow, this is like a ranged tournament. Anyway, so the tournaments in this game, basically, you don't always have them, and they're not always in the same town. In fact, they actually switch around, but you can efficiently, find them in different towns. Now, if you want to figure out where they are, every single town has an arena, so you can go to the nearest town, go to the arena, and it's pretty easy to go from there. Just ask where the nearest one is, and there you go. Now, I got pretty unlucky here. Instead of me actually getting something useful, I ended up getting a freaking bow. Now, in tournaments, sometimes it's an all-range tournament, which is pretty crazy. But this is not an all-range, it's actually some melee. So, the weird thing about this is that I don't have, like, any archery skill. So, the easiest thing for me is probably just to go point-blank to these people and just shoot them in the face with a bow and arrow. Probably the most efficient way to do this. Also, thankfully, with Warband, it's not like Mountain Blade, the original one, like where literally, if this happened to you and you ran out of arrows, it was over, like you couldn't do anything. Thankfully, with this, they do give you, with this version of the game, Warband, they do give you a knife if you are using a bow, so they don't completely screw you over. Shouldn't be too hard, especially if you're in a team. It's just kind of annoying if they give you a bow. Personally, I like when they give me a melee weapon. I can do a lot more with that. However, as you can see, I can come up with this guy and just start hitting him with a knife, I guess. Although it's not that effective. I would prefer in this circumstance and pretty much any circumstance in the tournament to actually have a sword or an axe or something to actually work with here. But you know what? This works too, whatever. Whatever floats your boat. But here we go. I'm gonna start stabbing this guy in the face. Can I hit him? I'm hitting the horse. Now he's down. Alright, seems like my team isn't doing the best, but thing is that since there are multiple teams, for instance, there's a yellow team, a green team, and a blue team. If the yellow team kills the blue team, I mean, really, it's not helping me, so to speak. Like, they're not actually helping me. But in a way they are, because they killed something that would have fought me. Now, the yellows seem to be pretty dang good here. And that's a problem. I kind of want a sword or something to actually be able to do something better here. So I'm going to go over in this corner and see if there's any dead people who have dropped a sword. I'm going to get off my mount. Probably not the best idea in the world to do, but I'm gonna try it. Why not? I'm just gonna go after this person. Okay, he's knocked out. There is a shield here, so taking a shield, oh, it's kind of gimmicky how you pick some things up sometimes. Alright, so I got a shield now. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So we can pick up javelins, which might probably are better than these freaking things. Also, whoops, I messed up there. I think if you press a button, I forget what button, it was Q, or what button was it that I pressed? I don't know. Was it R, maybe? No, it wasn't. Z? Yes, it was Z. So, if you press Z, you can actually, well, maybe not Z, X? I'm not sure what it is, actually. A? I'm not sure, but if you press the right button, you do switch from using the javelin as an actual javelin and using the javelin as a weapon, like a melee weapon, which is pretty unique, and it's also only in Warband. I believe there's also one, I don't believe, but I know there's also Mountain Blade Fire and Sword, which can be interesting. I've never really played a lot of it. I have the game, I just never really got into it. It's got guns in it if you're a fan of guns, but I'm not really that much of a fan of guns. I'm a really big fan of like a medieval game like this rather than having guns in the game. I mean, I'm not like, oh man, guns in the game, it's stupid. I'm just saying that the Mountain Blade series is medieval. I think they should keep it that way. So as you can see, I keep on placing bets on myself, and you might hear my dogs in the background, but that's okay. That's okay. And basically, I bet on myself to win, and if I win, then I get some money. So at the end of the tournament, you can get quite a bit of money if you end up winning. And most likely, you're going to win a tournament. It's not that hard to win a tournament, honestly. So apparently, this is an all-range tournament. I originally thought it wasn't, but it is. So you randomly get either a javelin or a bow and arrow, and everybody gets a horse, and you just go at each other. It's pretty interesting to see. My archery skill right now is terrible. But for instance, if you used archery enough in the game, and you got a high enough level in archery, literally, you could shoot really fast. Your crosshair would not be as crazy. You know, see how it's like kind of like going down, and it's kind of being weird. It would not be as crazy moving around. This guy wants to fight me, apparently, with a dagger. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the ranged tournaments, but you know what? It's better than nothing. A lot of times what these tournaments actually turn out to be is just like a fest of people sitting in the corner hitting each other because the AI is retarded and they're just kind of sitting in the corner. Yeah, I don't know. Alright, let's just keep on going. I paused the video there because I was like skipping over a part that was kind of boring, but this game is awesome. This is not the only thing. I mean, obviously the combat gets pretty intense if you're actually fighting for your life. If you get knocked out in this arena kind of area, it doesn't really do anything for you, except that if you placed a bet and you lose the bet. So yeah, if you lose you will lose quite a bit of money if you lose the bet, but it's not like you're losing any equipment or anything else, so it's not that bad. Whereas if you die in the real fighting, it can be quite detrimental, especially if you lose a huge fight. It's non-forgiving. This game will beat you to a pulp and not care about it. That's what's pretty awesome about this game, but also kind of like a double-edged sword. It's cool, but it also sucks at the same time. For instance, let's say that you've got a force of 200 men. Your 200 men go up against a force of 300 men, and you get horribly slaughtered. Most of your men die, and you die as well. It just doesn't go well for you at all. You know, you just lose. Basically, now you were taken prisoner by the enemy. All of your troops, and every single one of them, unless they're actually like an actual person. I'll get to that in a second. But if they're a generic troop, for instance, if they're just one of those people that you can just recruit from the villages or from the taverns, like an actual, like, just a generic person without a name, then this is what happens. You lose everybody. Like, they just all are gone. Now, if you are so inclined, you could also, since they're taken prisoner unless they died, you could also go back and rescue them, but the chances of you being able to rescue them if you died in the first place are very slim. In fact, they're pretty much impossible. You're not going to be able to go towards somebody who just enslaved your whole population of soldiers if you just lost to them, even with your soldiers. So, it's kind of, a little bit of a pickle that you'll be in. It happens, though. I mean, the easiest thing here is to not make any factions angry at you until you choose to join one. Once you choose to join a faction, then make as many mad as you want. Well, once you choose to join a faction, then choose to make the one that you're against mad. For instance, if you're at war with the Swadians and you're a Kargit, then, kill them. Don't be an idiot and try to kill, other people. It's just not going to be good for you. Or, also, you might start wars with other things because you're representing a whole nation, so you might start a war that you didn't mean to start, and then your nation is mad at you, and it can generally just be really bad. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. I'm gonna have to 1v1 this guy apparently for winning the tournament. So just got a 1v. Oh, it's actually a her. So once I beat her, then I am basically given all the money that I bet. Now, if you don't bet any money, you still get a little bit of money, but you get a lot more if you do bet. That's pretty easy. I actually got it in the corner so I can just throw my javelins at her. Pretty easy to do. But, anyway, once you get in these huge battles, it can be crazy, and I can't really show you any of those, but let's just say, oh, I got to fight another one. So there's actually, this is the last one. Sorry, I thought the last one was the last one. But, let's see here. I can just shoot this guy a couple times in the face because he can't even reach me with that short-range knife. I'm going to try to get a headshot on him. Yeah, like I said, oh, yeah, as you can see, I'm getting headshots right here. Headshots deliver tons of damage. Later in the game, headshots can deal hundreds of damage. Pretty much a one-shot kill to anybody. It's hard to do though. So look, I gained 200 dinars, and then I gained 3,100 because I was betting. So what did I mean earlier by the people that don't leave your party when you die? Now, for instance, if you were to recruit a watchman, you can hire him and all of his mates, which means 4 of them, for 188 dinars. I might do that. I think I'm not going to do it though. I could. And if, for instance, I lost, all of my men, including all these guys, would be taken from me. So that would suck. But I just don't have to die. That's the only thing. Also, even if you are killed in combat and you have, say, 100 men against 10, it's not like you just lose all your men, because 100 men are most likely going to be able to kill 10. So, I mean, pretty much in any scenario, that's pretty much going to happen. So even if you do get knocked out, your men will continue fighting for you. And it'll just kind of, it'll go back to the screen and it will say whether you won or not. So, for instance, if I recruited this person, she is not a normal person. She is like, she's still an NPC, but she's not a generic NPC. For instance, if you hired 4 watchmen, they'd be called watchmen. You could get 100 watchmen. It's not a good idea, but you could get 100 of these guys. They're just generic henchmen that can help you out. Now, if you get these kind of people who actually have real names, you recruit them for an amount of, you know, they actually have a story behind them and whatnot. So once you tell you the story or whatnot, you pay them, and then they'll join your squad. Now, if you don't get a party and you would talk to them, you can actually equip them with equipment and whatnot. Whereas if you went to one of these villages, for instance, let's go to Dash Biga. Oh man, these guys are gonna get me. Oh no, this is bad. There's no need to fight. I can pay for free passage. How much? No, I'm not paying 335 dinars. See, that's the thing about this game, you know. Do you pay the bandits or do you? I'm just gonna pay them. I don't feel like dealing with them right now. I could potentially fight them, but I'm not gonna deal with them. I would probably die. And for the sake of the video, I want to show you this. So you can go to a random village, recruit the recruits, and then go to your party. Now, these are tribesmen. Now, I have to level them up, so I have to join battles, I have to win, and they have to get XP, and they have to not die. Because if they die in battle, they could potentially just die and you lose them forever, or they could be knocked unconscious. If they're knocked unconscious, usually that happens if, for instance, let's say you're bludgeoned with a club or something. If you're sliced with a sword, most likely you're dead. You're not going to survive in the least bit. But I can win this by myself, but with these people, it's gonna take a while for them to even get to the battlefield, because they are foot soldiers, and I am on a horse, so I can probably get to the battlefield, end the battle before they even get there. But if they do end up, they'll probably be here by the time before I'm done, and they'll help quite a bit. Now, these are looters, so they're not that hard to kill, and my guys would be a pretty good match for them, actually. However, later in the game, you're gonna find that just recruiting random, like these people, the recruits are not gonna do much. Now, later in the game, by that time that you're actually going to be fighting bigger and better people, you're probably going to have a pretty advanced troop yourself. You might even have fully upgraded things. As I was discussing earlier, you can kind of see what each nation is good at. For instance, the Swadians are really good if you develop their knights. However, it is a little bit different for each thing, because you can develop people in different ways. And if, for instance, I get enough XP to my guys to level them up, I can kind of explain. Because you can actually rank up your own soldiers down a certain path, and each, soldier has a different path. Now, usually it's 2 paths, one's ranged and it's a couple of different paths, let me rephrase that. So usually there's a ranged path where you make them into some sort of archer. There's also a path with, cavalry, with something involving a horse, and then there's also infantry, which would be on the ground. Now, this game is kind of weird. It's not that the game is unbalanced, it's just kind of like how the game is made. If you just have like all horses, it's really not that bad, honestly. I usually have like a full army of people with horses, with some archers, and it works pretty well for me. So if you want to buy this game, it's pretty cheap. It's quite fun to play. I'd highly recommend it. It's a very fun game. I've been playing it off and on for years. So it's fun to just hop on and play. It's also fun to engross yourself in the world. You'll find yourself actually making friends. Legitimately actually like making friends with some of these people around the world, and you'll also find yourself really hating some of the people around the world, and you'll kind of come to like and dislike and figure out who you like and dislike in the game, and that might kind of make you decide what side you want to join. Now, I'm going to fight these people. Hopefully I will be able to kind of exhibit what happens if you die. I don't know if I'm gonna die. I could probably solo these guys if it took enough time, so I might be able to. My guys might get injured or die, but I think I could probably solo them. Do they shoot arrows? Maybe they do. No, these guys are more the spearman kind of guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and block. My keyboard is not working right now. This is terrible. Oh no. Okay, here we go. I got my keyboard working again, I think. Yeah, here we go. Sometimes my keyboard will disconnect, and that's probably like the worst thing that could ever happen when you're playing a game. Okay, my horse is almost dead, so whenever my horse dies, I'm pretty much dead as well. I don't want that to happen. Okay, oh boy. Okay, my horse is dead, so at this point, I'm pretty much dead. I am off my horse, so let's try to fight while we're on the ground. It's very hard to fight from ground to horseback, because especially since they have like lance damage. And speed is a thing that happens in this game. So, for instance, if someone's going really fast on a horse and they hit you with a spear, it's going to do a lot of damage. And, in fact, if you have a shield up, it's probably going to break your shield. So you've got to be careful with that. Also, if I die, I'm pretty much doomed because my soldiers probably have no chance at all of actually fighting these people. So the idea I have right now is trying to kill one of these people, not their horse, but it's hard to kill just them. If I can kill one of them and then get their horse, I have a chance at this. If I can't do that, I probably don't have too much of a chance. I'm going to try to shoot him in the face. I missed. I'm going to try to slice him. I'm going to try to stab him. Okay, I got the horse. So let me get on the horse. There we go. I got a horse. Now this is the second step. Okay, one of my guys, as you can see in the left-hand corner, has been knocked unconscious, which means he's not dead. But he can't fight, oh, now another one's knocked unconscious, and another one is killed. One of my guys did knock unconscious one of them, so that's good. But that doesn't really matter because we're about to die, I believe. Although, I might be able to pull this one off if I can slice this guy a little bit up here. And if I can kill this guy, we might be able to pull this one off. We seem to do pretty good against these guys. Not bad considering that we have no cavalry and they're consisted of all cavalry. We're not gonna win this, unfortunately. There's no way we can win unless I use a cheat right now. Let's just use a cheat. Yeah, cheating all the way. Alright, I just used a cheat right there. I don't know why I'd use a cheat, but the fun thing about this game is that it's not serious. I mean, I have a serious playthrough, and then I have my mess around playthroughs and just messing around. Cheating in this game is actually pretty fun. There's a cheat for like money you can get and stuff and leveling up your character. I think the fun part about this game, honestly, is that it's like a sandbox game. You know, there are no limitations. So if you want to cheat, then you're more than welcome to cheat. You know, and I'm not saying that you should cheat in this game because it makes it a lot more fun if you don't cheat. But you can easily find the cheats online, and I know a lot of them by heart because I've just played this game for so long. Trying to chase this guy down. I could just use the cheat to knock out everybody. Let's use that. I'll demonstrate this. Shift. I think it's Control. Okay, you're probably wondering what is up with this cut. Actually, when I use the cheat, Control Alt F4, which knocks out all the enemies, and as you can see, I knocked them all out, so I could take them as prisoner. What happened was, since F4 is also my pause button on my Bandicam, it actually paused the video. But this is pretty much the end of what I wanted to show you guys. As you can see, it's a game where you can kind of just mess around, and since it's offline, it's not going to affect anybody if you cheat. So if you want to cheat, if you want to do that, then that's completely fine. I sometimes will do it just for fun. Honestly, I'd recommend before you start cheating and stuff, have a playthrough. I mean, I literally had one playthrough that I played in probably about 40 hours into the playthrough, and it was with the Kargat Clanate, and it was a lot. I mean, it was with the Swadians. And it was a lot of fun, you know, not cheating, actually, you know, getting beaten down, having your troops stolen, and then trying to build yourself up from nothing. Because, I mean, if your guys get stolen and your army gets destroyed, you got to build yourself back up from nothing. I mean, you might have money and you have armor and you have skills, but you don't have that much. I mean, you can also just, like, extremely level up your character, but I don't really find that fun. If I'm going to cheat at all, it's usually just like a cheat to kill somebody or heal in combat, usually. But you'd also, I think there's like a command to just freaking level up all the way. I think it's like Control L or something. But that's besides the points. Here we go. We can level up our one-handed weapons a little bit and press done. And until next time, I will see you guys later.